Okay, so this is the follow-up video for the Griptilian, Benchmade Griptilian that I ordered from Wish. I've been using it for a few weeks now. It's been longer in between videos than I wanted it to be, simply because I've had way too much going on to have time to sit down and make a follow-up video. But here it is. Here's the follow-up video. The Griptilian was a pretty decent knife. It's still very sharp. I probably cut up 40 cardboard boxes with it, and it's still got a pretty sharp edge on it. I'm not sure if it's still going to do a good paper cut, but yeah, I'll have to sharpen it, I think, moving forward to get it back to a blade sharpness that will just cut through the paper without any pressure. But all in all, I'd give this knife probably an 8 out of 10. It didn't get a better score from me on this one, mostly because the mechanisms never loosened up like I thought they would. At one point, I actually loosened the pivot nut here, the lock nut, whatever you guys call that. I had loosened that up to make the blade open easier on its own because it's very stiff, but over time that would just keep loosening up on its own, and so I had to tighten it back down, and the tightness I had to keep it at where it would stop loosening up on its own, it's still stiff. So that's really the only problem I had with this knife, but it's sturdy, it held up. Again, you know, I cut zip ties, pry staples out of cardboard boxes. This one I did not use as a screwdriver like I normally do with most of the knives I have. I didn't use the tip on anything like that. I did shave down some branches to make a little bit of kindling, a little bit of fire starter material. I even cut up a plastic tote with it, as well as all those cardboard boxes. So it held up a lot better. Everything's still tight on it. The only thing that I touched with an Allen wrench was the pivot nut here, and that was it. Everything else is held up. The comfort still feels good. It's a good, you know, this knife was a really good size for my hands in particular. Right off the bat, I liked the color combinations. I liked the contours of the blade. And it still holds up. And the only reason I'm not giving it like a 9 or a 10 is because that mechanism, the opening mechanism, it's so stiff. I've got to put a lot of flick into it, whereas most of the other knives that I have reviewed, within the first week, they're loosened up enough where it's just a quick little thing. I've got to put a lot of force into it. It's almost like I'm trying to throw the knife like a ninja star to get it open. So that's the only reason I'm giving it a 8 out of 10 instead of higher. Like I said, though, still performed really well. Still sharp enough to cut zip ties with one cut paracord. I mean, basically anything I need to do with it. This would be a knife that I would entertain buying an official knife from Benchmade, the official Griptilian. It left a pretty good rapport with me on this one. So if anybody's looking at buying this from Wish, this is the Benchmade Griptilian clone. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. This knife held up for everything I needed it for. I did not do any prying with this one. Some of the comments about prying on one of my other videos, you know, I get it. I understand. You don't normally want to pry anything, especially with the folder. But I was trying to do a lot of crazy things with some of these knives just to see how they'd hold up. In reality, I don't really do a lot of potential tip or blade damaging things with knives unless it's an older knife that I've already run through the mill and there's no hope of saving it. With knives like this, my everyday carries, usually I like to keep them in as good condition as I can, so if anything ever came up where I really needed them, they were in working order. But yeah, I agree with you guys on the prying. You definitely shouldn't pry anything with a folder that you want to keep in good condition. So if there's any knives you guys are looking at buying on Wish and you just don't know, you can leave a comment. It does take about a month for these knives to get to me, however, so if you want answers quick, that's probably not going to happen. And with how busy I am lately with my business, especially with this video, it took me about a week and a half longer than I was hoping to get to this video. So yeah, if you guys have any other knives, any other things you're looking at, I'm potentially looking at branching out and trying other items besides just knives off of Wish, you know, survival tools, multi-tools, camping gear, things like that, just to see how well anything holds up. If you guys are interested in seeing some of that stuff, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know. But Benchmade Griptilian clone from Wish, 8 out of 10. The only problem I had with this was a very stiff mechanism for opening the blade. Beyond that, it held up really well.